the benefits of technology. And so far we saw that, if I recap, that social media has so many, technology has so many benefits, like social media benefits. Social media benefits has like crowdfunding and digital advocacy. And also if we can go to online benefits, like online gaming, which has emotional intellect benefits. It also has, it makes children easy to make decisions. They also become independent. Another benefit we also saw is that education-wise, children are able to get education. It's time we delve into the risks, and we all know that the benefits probably outweigh the risks, but we can only maximize on these risks if we are aware. Now we can only benefit from these benefits if we are aware of the risks, and how can we evade the risks, and how can we also protect ourselves from the risk. So I'm here representing Legal Sister, which is a non-profit organization, and we tend to teach, train, and inform the society on children laws, children rights, children protections, children procedures in court, and other related issues pertaining children. So karibu sana, and let's delve into it.
Thank you so much, Deborah and Sheila, for that very elaborate description of what the programs we've been running all through August. Thank you so much for organizing them. And we have quite a wonderful lineup of panelists and speakers this evening. So I'll just go right ahead. I'll allow Isabel to introduce herself. Isabel, if you're with us, please introduce yourself and what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Can you see me?
Hi, Isabel.
Hi.
Hi, can everyone see me? So I know my light is bad, but I think we'll have to just make do with what we have. I've really tried. So good afternoon, colleagues, or good evening. My name is Isabel Magaya. I'm from the Center for Child Law, and we are a university-based law clinic that seeks to advance children's rights in law. So we do strategic impact litigation as well as legislative and policy advocacy. And thank you for inviting us, and thank you for allowing us to participate in this event series.
Child helpline service for children and their societies in Kenya to be able to reach out and be assisted. So we are available by dialing 116. We're also on WhatsApp and other social media platforms, and people can really just reach out, talk to us about anything concerning a child. We are able to provide counseling and child therapy, family therapy, but we also link them to the services they require, including medical support, legal support, safe shelter where necessary, tracing and reintegration, linkage to specialist services like nutritionists and the rest. We believe in empowering communities to be able to identify child protection and to play their role in protecting children, and also just ensuring everybody knows what services exist for child protection in the community, and then also to strengthen response services so that we are sure when we refer a child to a particular service provider, then they meet the standards and they're able to give the services very high quality and in the shortest time possible as well. So that is Childline in a nutshell. We run programs, several programs, but one of them, which is related to our discussion today, is around child online safety. Currently, we do it in Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kisumu, where we sensitize children and their communities around child online protection. And then we also respond to the cases they report around online child safety. Thank you very much. I look forward to a very healthy discussion. Some of my colleagues are joining us today. And I'm happy to see them here as well. Thank you. Over back to you.
Thank you so much, Martha. I'm Monica Mogore, your moderator. Thank you, Martha. And also, Sheila, thank you for posting the contacts for Childline Kenya. They're very resourceful, as you've heard, and they cover all matters children. So we look forward to hear more from Martha once we start delving into our topic for the day. So right now, I'll allow Jennifer to introduce yourself and tell us more what you do.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Kaveri. I am CEO and founder of Totonius. From Totonius, we are a digital company that is using technology to improve the lives of children. So we do this in several ways. We do this by creating content, circulating and curating content on children, so that content can be found across our platforms, from our website to our social media platforms. And then we are big on child participation. We believe that children have a voice and they have an opinion that need to be heard from themselves, not from second parties. So we have a very, very vibrant child participation program where we empower children to be able to speak for themselves. We create platforms for them to be able to speak for themselves using those platforms, and also provide for them opportunities for them to engage decision makers and other people who need to hear their opinion. And number three, we do research. We believe that we need to increase knowledge where there's gap, and with the increasing use of technology among children, there's a huge gap. There's a huge research gap, one, and also there's huge misunderstanding. So we do our own research, like primary research, but also we do secondary research where we try to disseminate some of the research papers and findings that have been done around this technology, media, and children, so that people can be able to know this is what's happening. So that is us, and we believe technology is powerful for improving lives, children's lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for that elaborate description, and we are happy to have you. Looking forward to hear more. At this juncture, I'll ask Evelyn to introduce herself. Go right ahead, Evelyn. Hello, Evelyn. So as we wait for Evelyn maybe to connect with her audio, I will request Eunice to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for this invitation to this session. It has been a great 3 weekends, and I'm looking forward to the discussion that we are going to have today. My name is Eunice Maingi. I'm the manager of the IT security department in iLab Africa. iLab Africa is the ICT Research and Innovation Center in Strathmore University. And our activities generally include training, research, projects to enable all the institutions, financial and learning institutions, be able to adopt cutting-edge technologies. And in our team, as per the name, we focus more on security issues, how to ensure that people are safe when they're using technology.
I know that. I know that. So.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, so looking forward to the discussion today. Thank you very much, Monica.
Okay, thank you so much, Eunice. I'm not sure if we have Evelyn on the call. Hello, Evelyn. Okay, so we're going to get in touch with Evelyn as we wait for her to also introduce herself, or allow her to introduce herself as we go along. And so we'll delve right into the topic for today. And we have some questions or some themes that we are going to do our discussion around. And the first one is, I'm just going to ask the first question for Martha. So I'll just read it out loud. And Sheila, please type it or copy paste it in the chat for us so that we can see. But what we're talking about now is some of the online abuse comes in many forms. So we would like to
hear from Martha, how does grooming happen? Like sexual exploitation. How does that happen in the online world, especially targeted towards children? That's for Martha.
Okay, so grooming is where someone lures let me say child, but it could be anybody really. So someone lures the child and guides them gradually to be comfortable around them. I'm trying to use the simplest words possible. So they'll present themselves as a safe space or a safe person to this child. And it takes time. It might take years to get them to a place of safety before they start making some demands for them to perhaps send their nude photos or to put on their live the webcam for them to see them. It's very gradual before they start exploiting them now, big time. So this is a process. They will tell them good things. They'll shower them with gifts. They will be available for them. They will encourage them when they are feeling low. Just that beautiful person around you. When they are in trouble, you can quickly run to them. They always have the right thing to say at the right time. They always just seem to have the right answer for you. Now, by the time they're asking for something bigger, you don't feel threatened at all. You feel, but this is my friend. If he's asking me to meet him, you almost feel like you know them that well, even though you have never met them, perhaps. Now, it's very easy to lure a child that way. Children are trusting by nature. And so it's very easy to put them in that position where they feel like they even owe you, so I'll do this for them. And that is what grooming does to the person. And that's how it presents. And so sometimes even when these cases are reported to us, it is reported this child has been taken advantage of, but even as you're talking to them, they do not want you to know the person who took advantage of them. They feel like they want to protect them, like they owe this person to protect them, And so they keep lying to you about this person and, everything to protect them. So you have to first bring down that wall, that deception that was created in them before you can truly handle this child and manage them and take them out of the trauma or help them to live with the trauma positively. So that's how I can present grooming for us to understand. Thank you.
Okay, Martha, you've mentioned something very key. So grooming starts like building a relationship slowly, gradually with the target. In this case, we're talking about children. But the intention of this grooming is it's negative. For example, they'd like to meet with them, say kidnap them or exploit them sexually, share inappropriate videos and images and so on and so forth. And that's very key. And you've said children sometimes trust them to the extent that they would not like to disclose this person and what they've asked them to do because they formed a close relationship with them. And you're saying that they are filling in the gaps where maybe the parent or the guardian or the society is not feeling because this person is always available, seems to be very understanding, but it's all an act with a negative intent at the end of it. So my question to you would be on that. So then how do we spot the signs of child who's groomed, which is tied to the next question, which is also tied to online radicalization, which can happen through grooming. So as you talk to us about online radicalization, how it happens to the children, also tell us how then do we know children are being groomed and what can we do maybe to prevent it or resolve it, maybe put an end to it or create awareness in our children that it's not right, that that relationship does not have the right intent.
Okay. Radicalization is also around values. It's about believing in something strongly, something negative. And even that one is a process that is done. So you're fed information, you're fed some proof, some evidence, twisted evidence to make you believe in that thing. So for example, I will say Christians are bad. Let me just use that, unfortunately. And I will always get a video clip or some message to prove that point as true. And over time, I start believing it. Or you start believing a certain community is bad or they are this way or bad or that way. And so I give you the relevant content consistently. There's a level of consistency. Consistent, creative. They don't want you to touch their things. They don't want surprises. You don't just show up in my room like that. You know, they just don't trust the same way they used to, you know. And some of them also might have self-blame, you know. So they feel like they are responsible for things that are happening. You know, so they take on that responsibility and start blaming themselves for things, you know. I remember back to that story of the young guy who killed almost all their family except one who was at school. And he felt strongly that he needed to sort this out. Like, it's my fault, I need to sort this out. I need to clean the mess almost, you know. So that extreme feeling of self-blame. And then sometimes they have a crippling anxiety or depression or panic attacks, you know, just suddenly something is not right. They're screaming or they want to lock themselves up, or you just have this, you know, anxiety thing going on. They can't quite explain it. It's like an overwhelming feeling of fear almost, or sadness that can't be explained, perhaps because of the overwhelming information they have and the brain is processing it differently. I am not sure, but those are some of the signs that we see in the clients that we deal with. And then also withdrawal, because there's a certain power in the divide and rule approach to life. So you'll find when someone is being groomed or radicalized, they're set apart from the rest of the community, from the rest of their family, so that they are different. So you find the child is suddenly withdrawing from what would normally be their cohort, like a school, children playing together. They want to be away, perhaps also to just focus on their phone or whatever gadget they're using to consume the information they have, but some level of separation. Those are the ones I can think about now. But there's also, some of them also display aggression, so that they deal differently with people. You find they want to easily fight, but they want to be so outspoken and, you know, and to present their opinion so strongly, you know. So those are some of the things that, unless that has been their personality, then we would start to wonder, where has this come from? What is really happening? And then we delve deeper when we go through therapy to help them identify it and also deal with it. Yeah. Thank you. Over back to you.
Thank you so much, Martha. That was very elaborate. And you've put it very well in the end when you're saying out of character. The children or the teens, they begin to act out of character. And I like what you said about the radicalization is that they feel strongly about what is being introduced to them. They have a strong belief, a strong conviction about what they're doing. So they feel it's right. So it's very hard for them to also say, no, what I'm doing is wrong. And I feel like when children are younger, they listen to parents and they believe everything the parents say. But as they grow older, approach their teens and adulthood, there's so much in the world out there that is exposed to them, especially now in the online world, that they can attach themselves to that is not right. So I've seen a chat, but I don't want to talk about it because Evelyn has commented, and the next question goes to her. It's tied to what Martha was talking about. So Evelyn, as you answer the question, I'll ask you to introduce yourself. We didn't get a chance to hear from you during the introduction. And the question is, what are the signs to look out for when it comes to online abuse in a child? What are the telltale signs, and how do we know a child, how can you suspect or tell that this child is going through online abuse and they need help, and what to do about it? And I'll ask you to please maybe mention whatever you are putting on the chat in terms of online radicalization. Yeah, so thank you, Evelyn. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late. Thank you for having me again in this third episode. My name is Evelyn Kasina. I am a family IT consultant and a child online safety specialist. I run a business called EveMinute, and we teach children how to be safe online. We teach them on digital literacy and how to harness online opportunities. So let me just add what I posted on the chat as Martha was speaking, because it's something that ties into my question. In terms of radicalization, I've also experienced certain signs of, so there's radicalization in terms of just capturing children, and then of course once they get into the process and into like the cultism of it, they get to be extremists. Some of them just are recruited to become peer recruiters, and children normally have very low self-esteem. They can be confused about things like faith, sense of belonging or identity. They become bullies, or they become very discriminatory towards other people. Some of them become aggressive, others withdraw, because depending on the personality of the child, some will be out there just being very aggressive, and some of them, maybe due to confusion, they regress. Some children start experiencing levels of dips of depression and stress. Normally, they may not understand what is going on, but depending on the level of what is going on, they could be having some stress, then it gradually becomes depression. And then they tend to be angry. And anger in such a way that because they are conflicted and because they have this confusion of different things that they have, like faith, politics, they could be having a very strong sense of belonging in terms of what they have been indoctrinated in. They start having anger towards people who are not like them, or people who don't share their views. So that is something that we have had with children, and it starts very early. Radicalization happens actually with children from the age of 8, as early as they can start playing video games. That is the easiest place this kind of things happen. And I think we have seen even world over children who have been playing certain games, and once they got, I think there was this issue in a school somewhere in the States where there are children who just went in guns in the school and started blazing out children. And during some investigations, they started saying that these are the things that they were doing when they were playing GTA, that is Grand Theft Auto. And some of these things they were just being taught. And in a game, it looks fun because it is all fictional. But you can imagine when they get these very strong convictions and they happen to get access to actual weapons, it can become very detrimental to the people who are around them. Yeah. So my other question was in terms of identifying the signs of children who have been groomed, perhaps. Just trying to see if there's a child who is like sexually being abused online. You have to be very keen. Let me just start by saying that as a parent, you have to be really keen, and just looking at how your child is being socialized. And then if there's something happening behind the scene, they will either isolate themselves or become overly aggressive. Again, depending on your child. So parents need to really be on the lookout, because a child then changes their attitude, changes their demeanor, and their behavior really either goes to one of the extremes. You find that your child is agitated. Anytime that you ask them something, they're very agitated in their response. They want to be in private spaces, yeah? I know, like in class, we teach children to, and especially for parental control and content control, we teach children to have online consumption in open spaces, where just a parent would, walking into a living room and see what kids are doing. The idea is sometimes when kids are in closed spaces, they feel like they are safe to do malicious things, or if they want to talk to strangers at that point, because no adult is really hovering around them, that is an opportunity for them to do such kind of things. Their social lives change, and they could have different personalities at home. They're portraying a certain personality, and in school they're portraying another personality, and sometimes those personalities get conflicted. So these are things that we just need to watch out. The emotions also suddenly change. So you find your child has mood swings. Sometimes we parents think that these are the mood swings that happen with children as they're transitioning. Because maybe you have a preteen and they're transitioning into a teenager, and you'd be like, those teenage things. And we just let it be as it is. However, looking at how they're getting into like social spaces even before the age of 13, because sometimes we keep telling them, guys, you have to be like 13 years and above for you to like register on these platforms. We have children who are less than 13 who are on social media platforms. So when you start seeing like their emotions are changing, they're becoming very irritable and they're having sudden outbursts, those are signs that a child is having something happening behind the scene. It couldn't normally be like sexual abuse, but there is some sort of abuse happening online. I've had children in class tell us, especially like with the ones who are being body shamed and bullied offline, and then that kind of abuse transitions itself to the online space. It will be something simple. There is someone's microphone that is on. It's giving us background. Akelo, please mute your microphone. It is giving us background noise. So there are kids who say, like this particular girl who is slightly big-bodied and looks tomboyish because she likes wearing baggy t-shirts and trousers. She felt like being shamed because of her body. She needed to start wearing in a certain way so that she can like identify herself, because the bullying started offline. It started when she was changing for swimming and people took a photo of her and then they photoshopped it. Then they sent it online and then it just spiraled out of control. She felt like she needed to do certain things so that she can either feel like she's part of the group in school, or she can just feel like she's identifying herself with a certain group. And just as radicalization happens, when people are feeling like they are being maligned, I'll use LGBT for example, because very many people are like misquoting them. People are like, we know we need to be accepted in community, and there are those people who don't want to accept them. They tend to form cliques, and these cliques tend to radicalize them, because in those cliques you find that children are being pushed towards a certain agenda. So it is probably, sometimes it's not really sexually abusive, but there is some sort of abuse. So that is what we all parents need to understand. Like, did your child suddenly change their form of dressing? Are they wearing baggy things or very tight things? Are they trying to be someone? Are they Googling somebody and trying to mimic them on how they speak, how they wear, and stuff like that? So that at least the subtle changes that you're seeing in your child, if you're able to talk to them about it, maybe it could be the transition. But if it is not a transition and it is being led by a certain push because they're in a certain clique, then I think we need to openly have discussions with them in terms of what is going on behind the scene. So I'll push it back over to you.
For touching on the online abuse and the radicalization, very, very key. We talk about children joining online media platforms before the age of 13, and also the given of some of the effects of online abuse, even adults can handle.
Mugura, your audio is not clear.
Okay, is it better now?
Yes.
Sorry for that. I'm saying thank you for the insight on the online abuse and how it affects children and how we can tell children are being abused online. And you've mentioned something very interesting, children joining social media platforms before the age of 13, which is pretty dangerous because they're not able to weigh maybe the kind of comments they receive or the perception, because children are that age longing for a connection. They're longing for love. They're longing for a belonging. And social media, sometimes even for adults, is not the place to get that validation. That should be from the parents and the guardians. So from what I got there, number one, it's important to look around the boundaries when our children join social media, and also how to they're being abused online. Not necessarily sexual abuse, but even the body shaming, the sort of like their sexual orientation shaming, how they dress, etc., and their views also. So the next question Isabel will take us through is about cyberbullying, cyber stalking, trolling, abusive language from peers, from what you call pseudo accounts, just generally on the internet or online space when they're interacting with online platforms or applications that they access. So let us know how cyberbullying looks like, cyber stalking, trolling. Of course, abusive language can be easily identified. I think before that, I can see Sheila has a question. I think she's raised her hand. So Sheila, you'd like to go in before we go to the next question?
Yes, thank you, Magure, and I'm sorry to interrupt. Maybe just on grooming, back on grooming, maybe Martha or Evelyn can explain on sextortion, because I know one of the results of grooming, either it could lead to radicalization or sexual exploitation. So maybe if one can take us through sextortion, which is also a major effect of grooming. Thank you.
All right, let me take that. Sextortion is a combination of two words, sexual extortion. And it is a form of blackmail, really, where sexual information or images are used to get sexual favors from the victim in this case. So you'll find perhaps in the process of grooming, you sent a nude or some video clips that are inappropriate. So this person will use the same and say, you either give me more or I release this to your family or to your friends or to your school, or, So they use this to force you to go deeper into it. So you'll keep sending their photos, you'll keep, meeting their demands. So that's really it. That is what sextortion is, at least the way we have seen it presented. So it's a way of hitting back at this person using the same images they have shared, and they're giving you more and more to protect themselves. So they have an image to protect. Of course, these are not things people are happy to expose, and so knowing that you might expose, they comply with the demands. So if you ask for more nudes, then they give more nudes. And that way, they're giving you even more content for you to blackmail them with, So it goes on and on and on. That is what sextortion is.
Thank you, Martha.
Gura, you're muted.
Yes, sorry. Thanks for that response, Martha. Very, very insightful. Eunice has something to add. Maybe Eunice, you can unmute and just add. I've just seen a chat pop up. And also Mtoto News, you could just give you a minute each to just talk about the sextortion and whatever we are discussing right now. Just go ahead, Eunice, and then yes.
Okay, just to add on what Martha has said, sextortion can also be about messages. Like if a child has been sharing explicit messages with their friends, they can also be used to blackmail them. Yeah, just that.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for that. Even the peers can also be like a portal or a channel by which the images can be shared out and abused or exploited for negative intentions. Mtoto News, you could go ahead and comment.
So I want to look at sextortion not only from an image perspective, like your photos, from peer pressure of a child being forced to engage in a particular habit because it's the norm. Okay, for example, a child being forced to speak about their sexual behavior on text because they don't want to feel left out. Okay, so they say if the pressure comes, like if you don't speak about your girlfriend or the person you kissed, you're going to be bullied. Okay, that's a form of sextortion that we are not talking about. We just talk about sextortion in terms of photographs being shared. We're talking about sextortion in terms of when a child's nudes are being exposed. But what about, and that's like a lot of abusers, that's what they use. I'm going to tell people that you have never kissed a boy if you don't do such and such a thing. So children are forced to lie about their sexuality, and because they want to be accepted. Okay, and earlier we were talking about glooming. Okay, and actually most of gloomers, they use sextortion as a way of abusing these children. Okay, so for example, if they gloomed this child and they told them, you're beautiful, can I see your hand, can I see your breast, can I see your whatever, and that's how the sextortionists, the word has gone out of my mouth. So how the people who use sextortion use, because they start with glooming. When they have gloomed the child, because glooming is a process. Okay, as mother said, it's a process where a child they start with a hi, you have a beautiful eyes, you have, or what, that if you've ever watched when I was growing up, there was this book of the wolf and the grandmother, or that one that, how beautiful, what beautiful eyes you have, how beautiful ears you have. So that's how sextortion starts. They say, you have beautiful eyes. I love the way you write. I love, you're so talented in that music. And, so it's a process. And the sextists, they use the same thing. If they told you your eyes are beautiful, you want to show the rest of your face. If they say my hand is beautiful, I want to show the rest of my hand. If they say my chest is beautiful, I want to show the rest of my, and that's how the process of sextortion starts. They will take a screenshot of your boobs and they start saying, if you don't do this, if you don't show me the rest of your body, I'm going to tell people that you're doing these are your nudes. Okay, and it's a process. Okay, sextortion, most of the time sextortion and glooming, they go hand in hand. So by the time a child is being fully sexually abused online, it started from glooming to sextortion, and then from actually being full blast abuse online. Let me stop there. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. Before I ask I give my reaction, I see Evelyn has a hand up. Evelyn, go right ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I wanted to also bring out this angle that sextortion is a crime. If you're being extorted online, that can fall under it. We also have the Children's Act and the Sexual Offences Act. So depending on the level of sextortion and what is going on, because definitely that is blackmail, it can fall one of those acts, because there's the law of the land that can take effect. Also, if somebody has taken, like, for instance, the people who genuinely, and let me say it genuinely because even adults do this a lot, like I take nudes to send either a boyfriend or my husband or something of the sort, and when we stop being friends in a certain way, they tend to use that information now to like shame me because we are no longer in like a cordial relationship. So that one is actually breach of privacy, because I sent those photos to you because I was not forced by anybody, but I sent those photos to you. But just because now we are no longer in a friendship kind of situation, you're using those images to like shame me or to bring me down. That is actually also an offense. And one of the things also that has cropped up is something, because right now everybody is doing things online. Look at us right now. we are in a space where we are conducting this meeting online. I don't know how many people realize that when you're using your webcam, if your webcam is on, probably it is green in color. Your camera is the most vulnerable part of your computer. Any device, your camera is the most vulnerable part. Like I tell people, if you're not using your phone, let your camera sit facing down because there's a black surface or just a dark surface that is beneath it. And when you're also not using your camera, like there are people here who are not like live on their video cameras, have something small like this. This is just a piece of paper, like a sticky note that I folded. I have folded it like completely. Yeah. What this does for me is when I'm not using my camera, I close it, right? Because some people don't know that when you're being hacked, your camera changes color. And somebody just needs to get into your camera to get into your machine. And then they can start, taking videos of you doing your own things you don't know. We are all over our houses nowadays because we're having meetings. Just because you're on mute, people are going to pee, people are naked, we are wearing clothes, just to be seen, from your chest up and stuff like that. So people will take videos of you not knowing that they're taking videos of you, and they can start using those videos to blackmail you. So just as a point of precaution, because it might be a little technical, this is not technical. When you're not using your camera, fold a piece of paper, lock your camera, because at least at that point, you're protecting yourself. And also be aware that even when you're sending nudes, and especially nudes, videos, even texts or pictures, just because somebody's your friend doesn't mean that they cannot use those photos against you. They could be hacked, somebody gets those photos and also uses that against you. There are very, very many levels, so I think we also have to look at it from that perspective. But sextortion is an irregularity, and it is actually an offense under very many laws in our country. So back to you, Mugure.
Thank you, Evelyn. Very, very informative. Thanks for giving us that tip on how to do that. You're not using the online meetings where we don't want to share what we are doing. And I can see you've just done that. Thank you. Isabel, I see your hand up.
Thank you. So I've got a question following up from what Evelyn just mentioned. I think what would be interesting and informative for our young viewers, if there are people who are young who are watching, is in the event that you have shared. So firstly, what are we saying about young people sharing nudes? I just want us to be on the same page there. Are we encouraging them? Are we discouraging them from taking and sharing sexually suggestive pictures, photos, as well as videos of themselves? And the other issue that I want clarity on, or I would like clarity on, pertains to what rights do children have. So in the event that I'm 15, I'm 16, I was dating someone and I shared these sexually suggestive videos of myself.
Recording in progress.
And we're no longer together, and they share them with other people. What can I do to rectify the situation, as in to vindicate my rights? And who can kids speak to in that event?
Hi, I want to tackle the second last question. There is a thin line between right to privacy and right to freedom, and the right to protection. So there's a very thin line when it comes to online. Okay, so I always tell guys, in my life I've done so many courses, and one of them I did was counseling. And one of the principles of counseling, your right of privacy comes to an end when you want to put yourself in danger, and two, when you want to put others in danger. Okay, so as a parent, know your child's right to privacy. My own daughter tells me, "Mommy, that is my privacy," but their right to privacy comes to an end when I know they are going to put themselves in danger. And danger means when they're using their gadgets inappropriately. That means taking photos of themselves, sending photos of themselves across, because they're putting themselves in danger. They're putting the whole family in danger. So their right to privacy comes to an end. Okay, that is, I don't know. I dropped out of law school, guys, so I need to be forgiven for that. So your right to privacy comes to an end when you're going to harm yourself or harm to the other. So that does not mean that you don't have right to freedom to express yourself. So you can go ahead and express yourself. But again, if you have expressed your right to freedom is going to interfere with your right to protection, again, that's why you cut off the line. That's why government will come after me as a parent, because I do not take measures to protect my child and I allow them to express themselves. And they express themselves. For me, my expression is staying nude and going live on. There's a new platform that has just been closed, fans only or only fans, I think. So, because it's my right to expression and I'm 16, this is my freedom of expression. My freedom is to go nude and to go express myself. So the government of Kenya will come after me as a parent because I did not take measures to protect my child. Okay, so there's that thin line, but you have to know when to cut it. One, privacy, when you're harming yourself or you want to harm yourself, the right to privacy comes to an end. Protection is where you are also putting yourself in a harm's way. Okay, so your right to freedom and expression comes to an end. That's why even government agencies will come into play when you want to harm yourself. Yes, it's your freedom to express yourself, but it's harm's way. That's where you need to work. And then again, I want to say something. I've seen over the last 2 weeks, I've seen an increase or heightened measures by a lot of both software and hardware companies. Like, for example, iPhone and the Apple community have just heightened their measures on protecting children online. Now, if you own an iPhone or an Apple device, an iCloud, they are going to scan your system to see if you have any sexual exploitative materials. And even if they're yours or your child, guess what you're going to be? You're going to be trouble, because like Apple, because they have signed the COPPA. Is it COPPA? Yes. COPPA, the American one. So because they have signed, they are forced by the government of America to be able to report, to report you as an individual, because you own, or you own or you are holding materials that are exploitative to children. Okay, so it's because of that you have to be very careful. So as someone has just put on the chat, do not take nudes, do not share nudes. Okay, your body is your body. If you want to show your loved one, tell them to come and see them. It's better when they are seeing it live with their own eyes than using a device, so that way you're protecting it. And if someone really loves you and they want you to show your nudes on phone, I don't think they really love you. They're not taking care of your mentor, one, and your security and your safety and your privacy. If they're forcing you to send nudes, I don't think that. So do not take, do not share. Okay, it is your body. As someone told me, I always tell kids, something that you not want to see your grandmother see, don't do it. Okay, if you want your grandmother to see your wee-wee, your pee-pee, your empty boobs, or you having a sexual intercourse, go ahead. Take photos and videos and share them. But if you don't want your grandmother to see that, do not do that. Okay, thank you so much, Evelyn.
Also, I wanted just to add, just to say that, yes, I saw that OnlyFans app that is having some legal issues because of sharing pornographic content. This particular issue of nudes, even for me, I will just echo what Jennifer has said. Our children are living in a time where whatever they post online stays online. And I keep telling them the internet never forgets. And it could be at a point where there's a transition, or they're feeling like I want to express myself. And they say, okay, fine. I was at that stage where I was young and they would think that they were stupid. But those actions will forever hound them, because I keep telling them as early as 2019, I stopped taking CVs from people I wanted to employ. I just needed their social media accounts, scan them and find out if this is somebody I want to be able to associate myself with, and my company would associate myself with. And I keep telling them that kind of scrutiny only goes a level high if we are practicing it right now. imagine what their future will look like when they're even looking for jobs, they're looking for opportunities in schools. It will only get wider and worse. People will just need your email address to just find out who you are. And if they find you had a tainted past, you have vulgar language, you've been exposing yourself out there, guess what? You start missing opportunities at that particular point of entry. You don't even get a footstep. And it is important for us to realize and even tell our children, if somebody is asking for nudes from you, let them send you first. Because if they're not willing to send you their nudes, it shouldn't be easy for you to send them their nudes. Because the thing is, when blackmail starts happening with our children, I do feel like, even as parents, we need to do a little bit more with affirming our children. Affirmation should start at home. And we need not only to affirm our children, but help our children affirm themselves. This is something that I do with my kids every day, my youngest being 7. And I tell them to stand in front of a mirror and talk to the person in that mirror. And just tell yourself that today I'm appreciating to be loved. Today I am special, I'm unique, I'm kind, just the way you are, because we are all different. And then as parents, we need to also speak to them in that sense, but also teach them to affirm themselves. Because the thing is, whoever is out there who wants to show your child that they're not worth it. Sorry for that. I don't know whose machine is giving feedback. So whoever is out there who wants to show your children, that they're not worth it, they're not loved or whatever, they will use whatever words. You're black, you're not beautiful, you're thin, or you're fat, or you look like this, or you look like that. Doesn't matter. But as long as your child realizes that, I'm unique, I'm loved, I'm special, and I'm kind, and the people who actually love that child show them and tell them these affirmations, then they wouldn't feel the need to show somebody else, oh, my boobs look nice, look at my boobs, and to feel that person says, oh, your boobs are nice, oh, you look good. Because they should know they look good. They should know that they're beautiful. They don't need to expose themselves to look that way. But the downside of this also is the kind of content that they're viewing. And I think this is a contentious issue where even in class when I'm teaching teenagers, and especially girl teenagers, these are girls between age 15, 16, 17, thereabout, where we have this notion of, we have accepted socialites. Unfortunately, even us in Kenya here, we have accepted that is a way of living. Our children do not want to tire themselves in terms of, I have to go to school, I have to get my grades up, I have to really work hard to get by in life. If I show my boob, get a bad scandal, I've hit it, and up from there, it's what it is. If I want to be an influencer, I just need one bad story, one naked video, and I'm set for life, because after that, people will start following me, and people will start giving me jobs for influencing. So they argue with me in class and ask me, but Chevlin, look at Kim Kardashian and all the Kardashian girls. They only needed one bad sex story, and they don't need to wake up at 5 like me to go and read mathematics and physics, because they don't use these things in school. They just need one bad story. So we also have to evaluate our own self. And I think Jennifer, or it is Martha who said, it is all about values. When we as adults have accepted a certain social status, it is very difficult to tell our children otherwise. You know what I mean? Because everybody knows right now, even with COVID, the economy is really bad. We just need to step ahead. We all need money. However, we get that money, for us, even as adults, really doesn't matter, because all I need is to buy food. I can't buy food with accreditations, or I can't buy food with referrals. I just need money. And our children are seeing how influencers are working, how socialites are working. We are the ones who support these people. We are the ones who like their photos. So it has to dawn on us that as we are celebrating other adults doing bad things, those adults are influencing our children, whether we like it or not. So we have to now go back and question ourselves onto how we are going to rectify what is already out there, and make our girls, especially our girls, know that those things will forever be on the internet. And even just to add on what Jennifer has said, this is something I tell my children. Don't even worry about what your grandmother will see or your mother will see. Worry about what your future children will see. Because one time, your child will be at the position where you are, and they will want to see, as you as a mother, you're telling your children, you can't do certain things. They will go online and tell you, but you used to do this, and there will be proof. there will be proof, because the internet never forgets. So don't even worry about the people who are already here, who you probably don't care about. Worry about your future children and how they will view what you say, because they will still question what you have put online if you do not want them to. I know you know what I mean. Back to you, Martha. Monica, I mean, back to you.
Okay, thank you all so much. Thanks to Jennifer, thanks to Evelyn, thanks to Isabel for weighing in on this topic of sexual exploitation. It's quite in-depth, and we are definitely going to talk more about it when we meet in our physical event next weekend. So you're all welcome to come. We can weigh in and just learn more how to protect our children, or how to equip them, like what our speakers have said about equipping them in terms of how to be able to stay away from things that will be detrimental for their life now and even in the future. Also much. So we'll go to our next question that Isabel will handle, and it's surrounding cyber security. And Jennifer did mention something about the big tech companies even safeguarding our phones from, upgrading and ensuring that their security measures are very, very key to ensure children are not being exploited. Sexual exploitation is not happening even on our personal gadgets. And cyber threats in this time, especially during the pandemic, it is one of the biggest concerns. Even in the financial sector where I work in, it is quite a concern because cyber threat is everywhere right now. And how does it happen? Any gadget that accesses the internet is a portal, forms a gateway for cyber threats and fraudsters and whoever. So Isabel is going to take us through how does cyber fraud happen.
Thanks, Monica. So Isabel is going to talk about cyberbullying and how it happens, not cyber security. So I'm just going to talk about bullying, as well as especially bullying amongst children in schools. So I'm going to share my screen. I prepared a presentation, so sorry that it's almost formal, right? So I'm going to talk about bullying from peer to peer and look at the negative impacts in the school environment. So I noticed here that our tag, or the title of the series, is Kids Tech, Are They Safe? And the short answer from my perspective is they're not. And I'm going to talk through a recent South African case on bullying. It was very sad. And when I prepared the presentation this morning, I cried a little bit, because when the story broke earlier on in the year, around April, I disengaged, because I'm a mother to a teen daughter who's still in high school, so I couldn't help but project. So I've already explained what the center does. We have public interest litigation, and we try to promote children's rights in policy and practice, but we do this mostly through strategic impact litigation, legislative and policy advocacy, as well as research and education. So we also teach at the university. So my presentation is going to be looking at the intersectionality between physical violence and cyberbullying. And the reason why I chose this is that we tend to think, because now we are moving on, or children spending more and more time online, they new threats. So what I want to highlight with the case study that I'm going to be discussing this afternoon is the issue that problems that we already have before the internet are finding themselves expression on online spaces. And as parents, as teachers, as lawyers, researchers, professionals, whatever profession you're in, we always have to be cognizant that we each have a role to play. So cyberbullying, the definition is the use of electronic communication is to bully a person, typically by sending them messages that intimidate or threaten. So I will start with a scenario, right? So imagine, so I just need to move this so that I can see my presentation. So imagine you're 15, and like most kids, you have a phone, and on your phone you have WhatsApp and you've got Facebook. So you chat to your friends. So this is the positive side. This is the light side of things. You talk to your friends, you share memes, you have a good time. And I think in the beginning of the event, you all spoke that last week you engaged on the positives of technology and the benefits it offers for children. And one of those benefits is that it links people. So even now during COVID, where we are operating under very restrictive conditions, where we have to stay at home, where schools are closed and stuff like that, children are at home, so they still need to engage with their friends. So one of the benefits is that it links everyone, right? And it's convenient, and it allows children to be children. But however, you're 15, one of your schoolmates doesn't like you and is always sending you insulting messages on WhatsApp and Facebook. What would you do? You block them, right? You block them on all platforms, so everything should be fine, right? No, it is not. At school, the schoolmate decides to up the ante and gets confrontational and starts slapping you around, asking you why you blocked him or her. What would you do next? So you go and you report to either your school teacher or the headmaster, right? And you expect that now that you've reported, definitely something is going to happen. But the headmaster does absolutely nothing. The school doesn't move. No teacher comes to your help. Other students, they couldn't be bothered. And one morning at school, just before you write a test, your schoolmate comes with his or her friends, and she starts slapping you in front of everyone. And other students start recording the incident on their phones. The video goes viral. What do you do next? So what I want us to think about is the issue of obligations, legal obligations. The school heads, the teachers, parents. And I also want us to think about what help is actually out there for kids who are victims of cyberbullying. So my next slide, everything that I just spoke about happened to this 15-year-old girl this year. Her name is Lufuno. She was 15 and she wanted to become a doctor. So if you listen carefully, she was 15. She wanted to become a doctor. That's not possible. She can't be a doctor because she's not with us anymore. At 15, Lufuno decided to end her life after being called ugly, beaten. And this all happened live on Facebook by her classmates, you know. So it takes us back to what Evelyn was saying, that as a parent, you always have to affirm and tell your child that you could be different, you could be this, you could be that. It's okay. There's no one standard of beauty. So this case also highlights why it's important for parents to be actively involved in their children's lives, regardless of technology, regardless of the fact that your kids have a life of their own with their friends. So Lufuno took her life when she got home on April 12th, 2021, and these were her last words, right? Forgive me for wrongdoing, for wronging you. Whatever I did to you shouldn't have yielded to you embarrassing me and making me a laughingstock to people. I don't think I still have strength to sit in class and learn as people will be mocking and laughing at me. I pray God be with you so you continue from where I left off. I hope you make it in life and make the dreams I had come true for the sake of my mom. My soul is not resting in peace. It was sent to you. It was sent to an early grave by those that believed they were better than me. My tears, may my tears not be in vain. I hope you're happy now that I'm gone. This is the message that she left. So what happened was that the perpetrator attacked Lufuno because she blocked her on WhatsApp and on Facebook as she was sending her insulting messages. So Lufuno didn't want to engage, so she blocked her on all the platforms. But, you know, the perpetrator couldn't have any of that. She decided to confront her at school in front of everybody. So apparently there was also a bet, but we're going to get to that. There was also a bet that was among some school children which encouraged, or they were trying to get the perpetrator to actually go and be physical with Lufuno. So a video was posted online, and it shows one of Lufuno's classmates hitting her while others were watching and they were just recording. In the video, it sounded like some of the students were cheering on the girl who was hitting Lufuno and laughing. The person filming follows behind Lufuno, presumably with other high schoolers. Though they didn't appear on camera, some of them were making fun of the girl, right, and laughing at her. This very day, Lufuno got home, locked herself in a room, and the rest is history, right? So it's all fun and games. Lufuno kills herself. Now everybody is enraged, right? So the 14-year-old girl, the victim is 14, the one who was recorded beating Lufuno. She was 14. She was in a school uniform. She was with her friends. She knew exactly what she was doing, right? And again, what Evelyn said, our kids are doing things to be famous, to be well known, to be that girl or to be that child. So she was cloud chasing, right? She told her mother, so this is the perpetrator now. Lufuno is gone. Now we're talking about the perpetrator. She told her mother that there had been a 5 rand bet put forward by other children that she should assault Lufuno after an exchange on social media between the two girls. So she acted on the bet and it was all recorded. Long story short, Lufuno ended her life. 14-year-old girl was arrested and charged with assault with intent to do grievous bodily harm. So she's a minor and the case had to be dealt with, or is being dealt with through the Child Justice Act. So now consequences. So the case is ongoing, right? So it's being dealt with through the formal justice system, but the court of public opinion is baying for this girl's blood. So they've already ruled her, she's guilty, in as much as she didn't give Lufuno the medication that she took to end her life. Everyone, most people blame her for Lufuno's death. So according to social media streets, the 14-year-old was guilty of murder. And when the matter went to court, the investigating officer raised concerns about the 14-year-old girl's safety when he gave evidence in the children's court. The minor was not saved after she was rescued from fellow pupils who wanted to attack her, right? Her life changed forever. Her community shunned her, while public outrage continued with people baying for her blood on social media. People saying she should also be where Lufuno is. These are the real consequences. So we see physical violence getting to online spaces and things going viral and other kids not being able to deal with it or not finding help when they go to their school teachers. Nobody is there to assist. Nobody is there to offer a hand to help her. So she's gone. But whatever happens to the victim is something else. What is said to happen to the perpetrator is really sad, because now we're angry that her actions resulted in another child killing herself. But remember, she's 14. She needs help. She needs help herself in terms of understanding peer pressure, in terms of understanding how to act when people, offer her whatever incentive to be famous online. So the last thing that I'm going to say is that at least now, early on this year, the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child, they issued a new general comment on children's rights in relation to the digital environment. And I think what is important for our discussions pertains to children's online protection, that it should be integrated within national child protection policies. But before they get to policies, we actually need to take action now while we're in the process of trying to understand what sort of legal changes need to be put in place. And I think one of the things that really stands out for me is the issue of remedies. When our children are victims, what can they do? Who can they turn to? And we need to ensure that whoever they turn to actually acts so that they don't end up being like Lufuno, who ended up taking her own life because she felt like there was no way out for her. So here at the center, what we're currently doing is that we're conducting research looking at recent law reform, right, implicating children's rights in the digital environment. So we've had our president signed the Cyber Crimes Act earlier on this year. So we want to look at the implications. What can we tell our children in terms of being safe while online? We're also going to look at developing educational material for parents, children, and teachers in terms of understanding their roles, understanding their rights and their recourse, understanding how they should be acting to assist children, whether or not the child is a victim or is actually a perpetrator who's responsible for bullying another child, especially in the online space. And then the last thing that we're trying to also do is to implore duty bearers to put in place accountability mechanisms, because now one of the biggest things is that every parent was actually outraged. When we send our kids to school, it's the duty of the headmaster to make sure that our children are safe. And then when you have someone who has that responsibility not doing anything and a child dies, we're all outraged. So we need accountability mechanisms to make sure that our duty bearers take their duties very seriously. So this is where my presentation ends. I do apologize that it was formal, but there was no other way I could do it. Thank you for listening. I will stop sharing my screen. Yes.
No, apologize, Isabel. That was very clear. Very, what can I say? Brings us back to reality.
So your audio is you're sounding a bit far, actually.
I hope that's better.
So I don't know.
Hello?
Yeah, that's better. I don't know if it's your earphones or something, but your audio is a bit off.
Okay, so let me just switch off my video.
It's better now.
Yes, I think it's technology.
But it sounds better now. You're much more audible.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Isabel. It was an excellent presentation. As I was saying, it was solemn because it's a real life example that happened to teens, and both the perpetrator and the victim. Their lives were changed irrevocably, as in they've taken a new turn. And so that aspect of that highlight and on cyber bullying, online bullying, apologies for the earlier introduction. Yes, that is what you were to handle. It is very informative and we appreciate that. I don't know if anyone has their hands up in terms of reactions. Let me just see. Evelyn Kasim says, amazing presentation, Isabel. I don't see any other.
There are two hands. So there's Eunice, there's Larry. Larry's hand was up.
Yes, go right ahead, Larry. You can start with Larry and then Eunice and then Evelyn.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment here that it being a real world example, it really hits home. And something like that, if something like that can happen to people so young, it's something that we really need to be keen on. Thanks.
Sorry, I didn't hear that last part. Someone's mic was on.
I'm just saying, being a real world example, it really hits home, and you can really see the kind of danger that such can pose to our young kids in these platforms.
Yes. Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Larry. Go ahead, Eunice. You can unmute yourself. I think your hand is up. Yes.
Thanks, Isabel, for that presentation. Actually, I just wanted to add something to some of the issues that you brought up there. For me, it's a very vivid event, because at least what I remember is when all this was happening, we were running sessions of child safety online. So all the campaigns and all the noise was going on online, and we were having classes with kids. And, and that time something, a child has just lost her life because of that. And I think there's an errant mic. Anyway, B, somebody by the name B. Okay, so I thought maybe also we need to bring out the issue of values again, because here we can hold very many people responsible for what happened, yeah? Starting, okay, with the issue of bullying, but at the same time, this episode, this occurrence shows a lot of passive mentality and not thinking about the consequences of an event, because at that moment I was thinking, these children who are watching as their classmate is being slapped. I think I had even counted the slaps, it was terrible. And the others who are cheering and the ones who are recording, where are values there? As parents, as teachers, as sisters, siblings of other children, we have to keep asking ourselves, where are the values that we are teaching our children? Because if our kids have values, these things will be stopped from the very beginning. Nobody will be there to cheer. Somebody will go and separate the two people who are fighting, and the story will probably end in a much better way. Yeah, just that comment.
Yeah, thank you, Eunice, and I completely agree with you. So when I was talking to my boss about my presentation, one of the things that we talked about is that, children, they emulate. And I think even Evelyn said it. Children see what we do and what we approve, and they normalize. And I think the sad reality with the Lufuno case is that it's so normal for us when we see people fighting to record and post it onto either Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, share it with your people instead of actually stopping, the attack. So it's so normalized that our children wouldn't know to do better. If we as adults are doing the same thing, how will our kids know not to do it? So it's the whole issue. It's not only about values, but it's about what is normal. What are we normalizing? Because that case is actually, it's a sign, it's a symptom of an ailing society. The very many things that we need to address as adults.
And actually, that would have happened in Kenya also, yeah? If you say an ailing society, it's all around, yeah.
Yeah. But thank you for that comment. Thank you. I actually didn't watch the video, and I'm not going to watch the video, so it breaks my heart, and I cried. So because I kept looking at the screen grabs and I read the stories. So the stories that were written on the case. I can't stomach watching the video. And what adds to my anger is the issue that the video is still online. If you go to Facebook, if you go to Twitter, you can still find the video, and you find other videos of school bullying, still circulating. So really for me, that makes me sad, as a mother, but as a person, as a child rights advocate, it makes me really sad.
Sorry, sorry. I just want to. I'm looking for your name because I don't want to pronounce it wrongly. From where are you? Isabel. I know. I've worked with the Center for Children Law several times, and one thing, are you guys able to do like a PLI so that we can do a case? Someone needs to. For me, I followed that story. It broke my heart. I watched the video because of my kind of work. People will always send you that video and they'll ask, "Is Kenya? Why is this?" So I got that video like from several sources, and I kept on asking, who is responsible? Are we able to do something? Are we able to do like that PIL you guys did for education? Are we able to do something similar so that we can show someone needs to be held accountable? Maybe not the child, but we need to hold someone accountable so that it will be a deterrent for future use. Because when I heard that, I watched the girl being beaten, and then I heard that girl had killed herself. It just broke my heart. I thought, oh no, nobody, because I was thinking between the time she was being beaten and the time she was killing herself, nobody thought of counseling, some sort of psychosocial support to this young girl. So please, Beatrice, stay unmuted. Stay unmuted, please. I'm muting you and you're still unmuting yourself. So, did nobody provide a psychosocial support? And what about, right now we are concentrating on the two girls, the one who died and the one who is in prison or in a corrections facility right now. What about the rest of her classmates? Has anybody done a follow-up to find out what's happening to them? Okay, they have two levels of impacts. They have two levels of traumas. Level number one is some of them blame themselves of causing the death of this girl. And then there is this other group of children who thinking we would have done, that would be us. We should be in jail too, okay? So their cause is there something being done in South Africa? For me, it's a case that I followed up, but after the hype of her killing herself and then after she was buried, the hype came down. But have you guys tried to do a follow-up and to see what other support has been provided to this school, to these girls, to be sure that it doesn't happen again? Because one thing about trauma and psychology, there is a cycle, okay? There is a cycle of violence. So one of those two girls will end up doing something similar in future as adults, and then it will perpetuate this kind of whole cycle of violence. Is there a way something you can be able to do so that you can stop it? Okay, I don't know. It's just a challenge to you and your team for you guys to do something.
In terms of litigation, so the girl, she's going through the child justice process in terms of, the assault. But in terms of school bullying in general, I'm given to understand that the Department of Basic Education was involved. And I think the learners did get trauma debriefing of some sort. They did get support. The school did get support. But I think for me, the issue is around how do we deal with it systemically, because that's not the only school that experiences incidences of cyberbullying. And that's a conversation. I don't think litigation is the only way or the most effective way to deal with it. It's a conversation that needs to be had with kids amongst themselves, with the school, with school professionals, with our policymakers, with everyone. And South Africa, like right now, we're dealing with gender-based violence. And I don't know, 2-3 days ago, you saw there's a university student who got chopped off and was put in a suitcase by her boyfriend. So it's about dealing with violence. So this is why I wanted to touch on the intersectionality of physical violence and cyberbullying. And the issue of, it's a conversation that we can have until, the world ends. But more needs to be done in terms of, firstly, making sure that victims have support. Talking to our children about accepting certain things and, knowing when to walk away and when to really push and ask for help when you need it. So I don't think that's something that litigation can do. It's always, and I feel like litigation would be the final step in the process. But what we need to do is start talking to our kids in schools, at home, everywhere. I think that's all I can say for now.
Thank you, Isabel, and thank you, Jennifer, for your reaction. Evelyn, I'll give you 1 minute so that we have time to tackle the next questions, so that we can move to the next one. So, Evelyn?
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to say this is a very important topic of discussion. Just looking at the victim and the perpetrators all being underage, it is very sensitive as we are talking about this. And for me, one of the things that I would love for all of us, I'm sure everybody who's sitting here is in the ecosystem of a child. That's why you're here. It is important for us to understand that even when children are bullying other children, they belong to a parent just like you. And it is important for us to look at every case as isolated as it is, or every case as combined as it is, there is always a perpetrator and there's a victim, and all of them have parents just like you and I, and we all have to take that responsibility. And one of the things that I also urge parents, and it is very important for us to know who has access to our children. When I ask this question, many people really don't know who has access to your child, who is in the ecosystem of your child. That's one question to ask yourself. Then just a build up on it is asking yourself, what influence do they have over your child? Because as parents, we can do the best. The schools can do the best. The playground has access. The churches have access. Our mobile phones have access. The internet has access. And so it is important for us to interrogate these things independently, so that even as we are trying to help our children navigate these spaces, we are trying to help ourselves and also them understand that, yes, there are things that happen. There are things that might happen bad over the spaces that you are. There are things that can be done. But even the people who are pushing this violence towards children, they're not necessarily just adults. They could be your peers. And they need to understand the responsibility that comes with those actions. So even as we are seated here, I think those are things that we need to ponder upon and just take that responsibility. Take a piece of paper today and just write, who has access to my child? And just start writing. You will find yourself still writing and getting more pieces of paper. And once you're done with that, just ask yourself, then what access do they have? What are they sharing with my kids? And do my kids actually have the tenacity to even either put boundaries or to be able to come back to us when things are not right over different spaces that they're in? But I do believe in, as Jennifer is saying, it is important for us to look at who has what responsibility in terms of the systemic part, in terms of the home grooming values. We need to be able to see an end to some of these things that are happening to children, to the point of them taking their own lives. It is just irreversible when somebody takes their own life. It is so sad. But I think we can use this experience as a learning opportunity, as sad as it could be, so that we stop seeing more of these things occurring.
Okay, thank you so much for all your weigh in. I really appreciate it. So we'll go right to the next question. And this one is for Eunice. Now we are on the cyber security aspect. And Eunice, just delve right into the question about cybersecurity. How does it happen? And how do we know when our children's phones are hacked or our own phones? Just take us through. Thank you. Eunice, please unmute. Sorry about that.
So I'll start first by explaining what cybercrime is. And cybercrime generally happens when a criminal activity is done either targeting or using a computer network, or a networked device. Yeah, and many times cybercrime happens because it's done by criminals, online criminals who we call hackers, and everyone knows this thing. Yeah, hackers commit cybercrime, but funny enough, it's not only hackers who commit cybercrime. There are also novices who commit cybercrimes, and they're called script kiddies, because now cybercrime is becoming almost like business. Yeah, and we'll see one of the forms of cybercrimes that is easily accessible to even you and I. We can buy a program and use it to steal some information online. Yeah. Then an important kind of cybercrime, denial of service, is whereby a system or a network is compromised by making it overwhelming it with multiple requests that it cannot handle. Yeah, for example, a network. We have a website somewhere that deals with I don't know. It's probably an e-commerce website. Then denial of service will happen when many requests are sent to that website to the level that it cannot handle anymore. So what does it do? It just collapses, or it becomes exceedingly slow. Yeah. Then denial of service has gone to an even higher level, where when it is distributed. In this case, it is multiple connected online devices that are used to overwhelm a target. Yeah, and this one is generally organized. Yeah, so a criminal or a hacker takes advantage of different machines, many in a certain network. Of course, now through the internet, all our machines are connected to this network, to this internet network. Then it takes advantage of these computers, maybe that have a specific vulnerability that is known. For example, with the common softwares that everyone uses. For example, if your operating system is Windows or it's a Mac, generally the known vulnerabilities are out there, and the malicious attackers try to take advantage of these vulnerabilities. So when one of these groups of people, because now they work as teams, actually, it's not one person. Many times when we think about hackers, we think of one person seated somewhere, like a geek in a corner, in a room, trying to hack different machines. But now it's a group of people working together. It's business. It's business. They're out to make money. So then, exploiting a certain vulnerability, they take advantage of many machines, and they use these machines as robots. So these machines are given instructions on what to do. So then they're told, send requests to this server and ask for this service. You want to access this service. So that server receives millions and millions of requests asking for a service, and this can paralyze the server for even 24 hours. It can go on for as long as this depending on the strength of this attack. It can go on for as long as possible. So that's distributed denial of service. And it's also another attack also that's another way that attacks are perpetrated that has come up as I was explaining denial of service is by using botnets, where a collection of interconnected devices are infected with a malware, then they are taken advantage of by hackers. The hackers control these devices. So maybe an example I can give is, say, if your Windows computer or your operating system has a certain vulnerability, then it's taken advantage of, and normally for many users, we are not so keen on updating our system because we are thinking, okay, we are just there working. Then when you see the update, you're like, oh no, I need to finish this. You just keep postponing later, until the moment when the computer now can't work anymore. That's the time we update. So this is not a good practice, and it's a way in which our machine, it could be the computer, it could be the phone, can be taken advantage of very easily by this unpatched vulnerability. So we have to be alert to ensure that our systems are always updated. And a simple way of doing it is just restarting your computer, letting it take the whole process, go through the whole process of it is shut down, then now it has to boot from scratch. Because during that process, sometimes the computer tells you there are some updates that need to be updated, then it does them, Then how to tell that a computer has been hacked? There are many signs, starting from frequent pop-up windows, especially things that, like ads asking you visit here, visit there, download this, watch this video. When they're totally becoming a nuisance, there must be something. There must be something that's happening to your machine. It has been attacked or it has been infected by a malware. And a malware also is a form of invading your computer. It's a virus, so it can be used to extract information. Then also changes that you have not done yourself. For example, changes on the homepage, password changes, suddenly you are accessing a certain software that whenever you open it, you need to input a certain password, but now you can't because you know the password very well and it's not opening. So it means there is something else that's happening, unless you're sharing your machine with someone. Receiving mass emails, receiving a lot of spam email, frequent crashes when your computer is going off frequently or hanging for long periods of time and you can't explain it, becomes unusually slow. When you find unknown programs on your computer and you haven't installed them, how did they come to the computer? Those are some of the telltale signs that your computer might be infected or hacked. When it comes to cybercrime, we can talk about so many versions of it. I try to talk about this. I talked about these two because they are like what is happening now. Yeah, but we can talk about many other things. Yeah, I think that's all I will mention now.
Thank you so much, Eunice. You've really touched on cyber security and cyber crime. And though it's technical, but we appreciate that you've helped us see how it can happen. It can be some fake updates that are happening and people gain access to our online gadgets and so on and so forth. So the next question you're going to handle is from Eve. It's risks associated with gaming. And how do we know our children are playing or chatting with pedophiles, sexual predators, or people who want to groom them for other things? Maybe Eve, you can take us through that briefly.
Okay, gaming, as I'd said, I think when we're doing the Twitter space and also the chat, gaming is an amazing way of learning. Let's just start there. It's also an amazing way for us, even adults and children, to show our creativity. Yeah, just depending on which games that you have chosen to subscribe to and play, that is now the issue that we need to kind of discuss. So the risks that come with gaming would be, as we had started this conversation earlier, and Martha said we were talking about radicalization. There's some games that have been put out there that there's a shareholder somewhere here that is in a radicalization kind of groups, and our children are hot in terms of they're very impressionable and they're very easy to lure, and they don't question because they do not know, they don't have that information or that ingenuity to question the things that they're being told to do. And so when they're being radicalized, it is just being given the different ways of how they can commit crime, how they can get away with crime, and they start even implementing some of these things at home. I'll just give you a case in point. I was having a conversation with my son just last week about gaming. And there's a friend of his who wanted to help him download a game. And I know Eunice has talked about this because it's part of cybercrime. Piracy. Piracy is crime, yeah? And there is no better way to put it, it's theft. So when you're a content developer, when you've sat down and taken so much time to create a game and you're selling it for just kidogo money, but it will get into the masses, people will download, they will subscribe, you will get some money. Then somebody behind, somewhere just decides, I can get this game for free. And that person actually tells another person and tells another person. So you find a line of people who are downloading these games for free. There's no better way of putting it, is theft. And that in itself is a crime. Those are the things that some of these things teach our children. They have learned that in certain games that they can steal, they can break boundaries, they can circumvent rules. And even when you have put some things in place in your home, because in the gaming situations, in the gaming platforms, they are able to be taught by their peers, by people who are pretending to be children who are predators, that they can do certain things, they go and implement them. Grooming is happening in gaming situations. It is happening in the chat rooms, and there are games actually where there is a common chat room, but there are also places where you can open private chat rooms, and children are being taught how to create servers upon servers upon servers. They're being told, no, if you click this link, we will just be the two of us. If you click this link, we are creating another level of privacy. And depending on the nature of the conversation they're having, they'll get into those spaces because they do not also want their parents to see the kind of things that they're chatting about. Children are being taught how to clear history. I mean, there's somebody who asked me the other day, I cannot see what my child is searching anymore. And I'm like, but children are not stupid. They will go and they will clear the history. Children actually know how to go incognito. Some of the parents don't know even what that means. Yeah, they know how to use the dark net. Simple things. They know the browsers they can install. They know how to get into those spaces. And so these are things, it's information that is out there. Where are they getting these things? By collaborating and talking with their friends. And it's something, and as I said earlier, parents just need to stop being reactive. As Kenyans, and I think as a society, I get frustrated when people call me and tell me, Evelyn, my child is watching porn. And I ask them, okay, so what should I do about that? There is nothing I can do about the child who has crossed a certain threshold, because they have crossed a certain threshold, they need to be rehabilitated. But it is important for us to stop reacting and start being proactive. And being proactive is just simple conversations, yeah? Simple conversations. Showing also your children that you're able to be in that space with them. You're having a conversation with them, be there. Put your phone down. Stop asking them, what did you do today? Just ask them random things like, whether you were playing a game, what was it about? Can I play with you? So that you yourself get into that space and get to understand and feel what the game does to your child, the emotions that come out of the game. It is as simple as telling your children, showing them actually, not really telling them, how to pre-screen. And I think last week, Eunice and I talked about free platforms like Common Sense Media. There are very many by there for pre-screening. There are Common Sense Media. You can check what kind of content the game has. But it actually takes a parent who is intentional to go ahead and play that game and just get the feeling that the child will feel. And if it is overwhelming you as an adult, imagine a child. You will get into that space yourself, create a pseudo profile, and you will see how yourself as an adult, other people are trying to befriend you. I have done that myself, and I've been befriended by people who I know for a fact they're adults because of the quantity and quality of their conversations. The kind of questions they're asking me, definitely adult kind of questions. But children do not know how to gauge these things. So for me, I believe gaming is a very, very, very amazing space to be. But parents need to start understanding that there are very many levels of security. When you buy a game, play it before you buy it, pre-screen it before you buy it, and if you can, block those chats, because I think the chat is the avenue, yeah? And in as much as the child is not able to, if your child is comfortable playing even with strangers, which I think that is also another conversation, let that be in an open space where even adults within that room can hear the kind of conversation that is going on. But also caution your children on the kind of people they're playing with, yeah? And there's something I think I need to teach you today called red flags. And very simple things that you can teach your children, like when somebody asks you a private question in terms of like, where do you live? That is private information. But for them, that word could look bulky and heavy. But you're teaching your child to have antennas, where if somebody is asking them, please send a photo of yourself. Why are you using like an avatar instead of like putting your photo or your real name so that I can know who you are? It starts with those kind of conversations, and depending on the level of understanding of the child, they're able to divulge that information or not. But if they feel uncomfortable, always be open to tell your children, tell an adult around you, yeah, or block or leave. There are very many ways you can deal with such certain kind of things. But then, as I said again, gaming is good, because even when I was doing my professional degree, we are creating content for children with gamification, because again, that is the space they're in. They want to learn through gaming, because as they're gaming, they're having fun, the information is sitting, and it's also maybe animated, and they're able to do different things, because as you're learning, you're thinking, I'm going to conquer this level, I go to the next level, and I go to the next level. So children are also being captured a lot in that space. I think the bigger conversation is the content. And then another conversation will be about time, because of course we have to really manage their screen time. But it is important for us to acknowledge that we cannot escape gaming at all. On my social media platforms, I'm always pre-screening some content. But I'm always having conversations around, did you hear your child playing a game like Roblox? What should you know about it? And if you ever hear a game in your house, imesemwa mara moja, mara mbili, mara tatu, imagine, get interested, because that means there's something that has intrigued your child. It means that there's something they're playing within your space, even outside the space, because again, you're not the only one who gives your children access to technology. But if you hear certain conversations within your house, and it has not been said once, it has been said more than once, it's been repeated, it is your responsibility to take action and be proactive and investigate. Ask them questions. Can we play? Who do you chat with? How do they talk to you? And when they ask you funny questions, what do you do? What kind, are you using your real name in that game? Are you using an avatar? Maybe they don't even know what that is. So that is your opportunity to teach them a little bit about security. But what I'm trying to say, even as Eunice rightly said it today, that you cannot just sit and wait. Because yes, the schools have their responsibility. The government has its responsibility. But when you look at the hierarchy of who is first in terms of influencing their child, it's the home. It is the home. So you, your nanny, the people who are within your inner circle, that is the first point of influence. Before it goes on to the other levels, it is the home. So I think we have to have more deliberate conversations with our children, and then just let them know. Maybe like for me in our house, things like Fortnite are not played. And then I tell my children, I'm not saying no, you can't play, I'm saying not now. And sometimes it is important for us to finish conversations in that way, I'm saying not now. Why? Because probably when we pre-screen that game, it is 13 plus, and your child is not 13. And in case they're really interested in telling you more, you can end that conversation there. The game was developed by somebody who said children only age 13 and above can play this game. But you can go ahead if you're pre-screening the game and see it has violence, it has sexual content, and then you bring it back to values. Our family does not believe in these things. We are teaching you people to grow in a certain value set, and this game is going to start distorting that value set so that at least your child is content. My mother did not tell me, no, I can't play this game. It is just not a game that is right for me. And you want to be the person who is fulfilling that why for your child. Because if you leave it hanging, somebody else will take that responsibility, and unfortunately, you cannot control what they tell your child. So it is important to understand the pros and the cons, but I think let's not dwell on the negatives, because gaming is an amazing thing. I think for them, it will be also a big opportunity for like creating wealth, money, exposure, information. So if you can, and you find your child is really into gaming, channel that energy positively. I'm trying as much as I can in my business to have children do African literature, and I tell them, why can't you convert that story into a game? Why can't you convert that story into a movie, into something that other people outside Africa can use that as an opportunity to learn? Because it is one thing for us to keep buying culture, buying influences, but we're also not sharing much about us. So in your own unique way, look for a theme and let your children use it in terms of just growing themselves. Let them stop being passive consumers and start learning how to create simple games like Minecraft. Minecraft has two options. You can create games, you can play games. You can spectate. But why can't we also let our children learn that as much as they can play, they can create? And when they're creating, what are they creating? How are they influencing other people with the things that they're learning online? And I think for me, that is what I'll say. Don't be scared about games. Yes, there could be avenues, but if you're able to manage those avenues, block chats, play games, pre-screen, I think we are in a good space. And make sure the conversations are happening at home. I think for me, that's how I would handle that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. I'll ask Larry to just weigh in 2 minutes about gaming and how we can protect our children from sexual predators or online predators who access those gaming sites too. Larry? I'm not sure if Larry is with us, so I'll just move on to our last question that will be handled by Jennifer. And it's about addiction. Even as our children access online sites, they access games, they access social media, they access online learning platforms and applications. So how do we prevent addiction? And if it's already happening, how do we put a stop to it and help our children to self-regulate, have self-discipline around the online space? Please take us through, Jennifer, in a short while, as we have run out of time.
So again, for me, when you talk about addiction, unlike us, for our children, our technology is their normal. So they'll be on the computer doing school. They'll be on the computer for entertainment. They'll be on the computer doing research. They'll be on the computer engaging with their friends, having conversations, and what not entertaining, it's called interacting, okay, and socializing, because that's their normal. And COVID-19 really did push us to the edge where our children are dependent on, and I'm using the word dependent, on technology, because they're children who cannot live without technology because it's become their own. So, and why I'm using the word dependent, when we start using the word dependent, that means you're addicted. You can't live without. That's addiction. Dependency is addiction, okay? How can we be able to stop this? And it is possible. Even adults, someone told me, if you want to know you're an addict of your phone, is if you cannot stay for 1 hour without checking and scrolling up, okay? So the best thing is what Evelyn was saying, values, okay? Have tech time and not tech time, okay? Have rules. This is where we use technology. This is where we don't use technology. This is how long you need to use the technology, and this is where you stop. Like, you can only use technology between this hour and this hour, okay? So you can have that schedule for for your family and your children. The children know. And if they start using technology outside the given time, they know it's a privilege. Okay, that technology, that computer, that phone, my children don't have phones. That phone is a privilege and it can be taken away. Okay, so it's not like it's a right for you. And I'm sure some guys will argue with me that it's not a right for you. I can take it away. If you misuse it, if I say you're using it too much, I'll take it away. I'll take the computer, I will take the gadget, I'll switch off the internet so that you're not able to access Netflix and whatever on TV. I will take it away from you. So that way that your children know their rules that comes with this. It's a privilege and the privilege can always be withdrawn. Okay, so you have to have that schedule, like between when you wake up in the morning, this is what you do. Don't go to your gadget straight away. Breakfast, and then go play. If it's a holiday, come and have a physical activity, and then come back to your gadget. Okay, so if everybody is having a meal, please take the gadget away so that they don't have addiction. And if it's schoolwork, like for me, my kids, they know if you're using your computer for school, I find you playing Roblox or even if it's Scratch, I'll take that computer away because we agreed this is time for school. You're supposed to be doing research, you're supposed to be writing a paper, you're supposed to be doing something to do with school. So I'll take away the computer from you. So you have to have those rules. But again, the children who are already addicted, what do? You do a detox and as a parent, participate in the detox. So I've seen someone say that on the chat. Participate in the detox yourself. If we say for this week as a family, we are not going to use gadgets. Okay, don't tell your children not to use gadgets and then you yourself are using it. Because my own children, they hold me accountable. Like for example, for us in my family, Sundays are no gadget day. No gadget in terms, no social media. You don't go to Twitter, you don't go to Facebook, you don't go. That's a rule in my family on Sundays. So if my children find me on, they go, Mommy, I thought today is no Twitter day. Why are you on Twitter? And they will take away the phone from me. So because we have that liberty, they will take it away from me because we are not supposed to do. So the only thing that we use is a TV, which everybody is using the TV. So you're not using your gadget individually. We are all using, we are watching a movie together as a family. So if you have rules like that, you have a one day in the week where you don't have any gadgets and you will survive. Go back to 1990, okay? Maybe, yeah, for those of us who are old enough, 1990 where TV used to be switched on at 7 o'clock, okay? At least one day in a week. So have that as a habit in your family, and that way your children will win out, and then show them that you can have life without gadgets, okay? It's not like where children become depressed when the internet is gone or you don't have electricity. I have play games, have the activities outside the home, because most of the time children get addicted because when they are confined in the home. Have activities outside the home, go for hikes, go for swimming, if you're living in a compound or an estate community, encourage your children to go outside and play, okay, with their friends, okay, talk to your friends, your neighbors, allow children, this is time between 3 and 5 o'clock, let your children go out, let all the children go out and switch off the internet so that children can be forced to go out. And if children don't know that something about children, it's learned, okay? If they know that between 3 and 5 o'clock, we go outside to play, they will automatically leave the gadgets down, or they are called by your friends, they will leave the gadgets down and go and play outside. So it is, and that way they can be weaned off from being addicted, okay? So fun, as Evelyn said, have values in the home. Have a schedule where when and how we use the internet in our family. So we use when is the time and how. So are we using for school? Are we using for entertainment? If it's your friends, you're talking to your friends. Like now, I'm a Google person. I use Google for everything. So I have a family link, okay? So that way, your children, they will not know. They will we are chatting with our friends, and you're already seeing all the chats. You know, it's privacy, yes, but you're already seeing the chats. You know who your children are chatting with. You know who they are talking to, okay? When they download an app or when they access their email on some other gadget, you will be notified by that. So that way you'll know apart from the gadgets that you have been allowed to, they are also active on these other gadgets. So they cannot bypass you and go start being active on another gadget. Okay. So, but the first thing is have values, have rules in your home on how and when, in terms of what time. Because addiction has long-term effect, as any other addiction like alcohol and drugs. Online addiction has impact. Okay, I read a very sad story of a child who, because they didn't want to be, because of FOMO, a fear of missing out, they're in between a game or in between a conversation online, they're not going to the toilet. Okay, and they got constipation, and they developed an issue with their tummy, and it's all because they feared if they leave this game, is it Roblox or which one, where you participate, if you miss whatever, someone is going to capture your, I know there's one of those on Sibling, they capture your things and then they win. I don't know. I know my children, they play that game. So because they don't want to lose, they don't go to the toilet. Okay. So how can you be able to ensure that your children know 3 hours, stop? Okay. Because you don't want, and it will cause that's a physical damage. Okay. And also social damage, because they don't know anybody else apart from this thing that they talk to, a screen. They have never had any interaction beyond this, whatever number of inch your screen is. Beyond that, they have never had a conversation with anybody else. They just know how to type it out or to put out emojis or to have a voice note. So how can they? So it stops their interaction. And the 5 domains of development is physical, social, emotional, spiritual, okay, and mental. Okay, so it is affecting their social development and also their mental development. They are not able to they get captivated with all these things that are going on, and it affects their mental health. Okay, they read about Afghanistan, they read about the way Corona is affecting. So they start having a mental disorder because they have so much information. They cannot, because at their age, they're not able to process this information quick enough, and it's confusing them. So they develop mental issues and they don't know who to talk to. And probably the person they're talking to online is not helping them. They're probably abusing them. So they develop a mental issue, same as alcohol and drugs. Okay, so all addictions have the same consequences, and also they become dependent on the gadget. Okay, they cannot live without the gadget, and that's why some children, their kids who have killed themselves because their parents have withheld these things from them. Okay, so, and the best thing I've said is having rules, having values at home to be able to control this. Okay, I just want to touch on something that I've read in the last few days, and I think Facebook tested it yesterday on VR, virtual reality. So that's a new form of technology that is catching up very quickly, and we need to start discussing about it. When I saw it, sorry, Mogore, I know my time is up. So when I saw it tested, because I have read it over the last 3 years, but I didn't think it was going to catch up very quickly. But I saw it tested, and it has gained a lot of media and publicity. And I thought there's something we need to talk about, because right now, someone said I was reading the same on VR, and say in a few years' time, people will not know each other's faces. Okay, you'll be recognized by your avatar. Okay, the same way on Twitter, unless you know my handle, you don't know. And people refer you as your handle, Adalito. And I said, oh, that's Jennifer. Okay, so the same thing in the next 2 to 3 years. People will not known by face. You not be knowing Jennifer this face. You know me as my avatar. Okay, and we need to start preparing our children to be able for this new world where avatar will replace this. Okay, we replace this, your facial. Okay, so that they don't think that their avatar is them. Okay, as Evan was saying, as it will be very easy in the next 2 to 3 years, your avatar will be your cyber identity. Okay, so someone will just Google your avatar and all your history will come through to you. Okay, we need to start preparing our children to know who they are, their values. They are human beings. They're not defined by an avatar. Okay, they're not defined by who they meet, because classes, classroom meetings, everything is going to move to virtual reality. Okay, and a lot of people will be defined by who they are recognized, not in this world of air and gases, but of code and they got pixels. Okay, that is what is going to be in the future. So we need to start preparing our children for that future. Okay, right now we are just talking about social media, but when virtual reality becomes a reality, like in reality, it will change the way we are talking about social media. It will change the way we interact, the way our children interact with each other, the way we communicate, okay, the way we meet. So it's very important. I'm hoping next week, unfortunately, I hope I will be able to come in, but I don't think I'll be able to come in the physical meeting. But I think one of the topics we need to talk is the new technology, okay? Future technology, virtual reality issues, augmented reality issues to do with a logarithm, okay, and artificial intelligence. How is that going to define the way our children are growing up? Because social media is so yesterday, guys. No offense, but it's so yesterday. So right now, we need to start preparing for the future so that we are able to prepare our children for this new future. How artificial intelligence, by me talking like this, there's a machine behind there that is already defined who Jennifer is, and you can be able to recreate Jennifer and put Jennifer in a meeting in America. Okay, just using artificial intelligence. So how are we able to prepare our children to be able that whatever they put online, and a machine is able to recreate their personality, is able to recreate who they are, and be able to place that machine, that whatever that is, into another location. So thank you. That's something that it's something that we need to start talking about. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you for the opportunity. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Quite a wealth of information and telling us how virtual reality actually will become like our day-to-day lives. And it's something you mentioned very important, is that we may lose even our personalities and embrace digital footprints and digital personalities. I can see some comments. Let me just go right ahead. Yes, we've spoken about gadget dependency, and Isabel says it's been lovely to hear all the ideas about protecting our children online and the psychological effects of addiction also on the rise. And just an interesting feedback from one of our participants or listeners is that they say that 9-year-old loves playing a game called Tokaboka, and they turned it into her YouTube channel where she creates stories using the cartoons. So the link to the channel is there, and it has grown her creativity a lot. So thanks, Eve, for that feedback. That's from Icon Media. So thank you. Right now, we wanted to discuss maybe one more risk in a minute from Baraka Chayo. Just over to you, Baraka.
Hello guys, my name is Loisa Chayo. So basically we want to look at, kindly mute your device, thank you. We want to look at in terms of how child labor in this developing world, is there a chance that the online space is making us make sure that our children are actually not getting the kind of child labor that they're now experiencing is not just the physical one that we are always used to, but now the online space. And the answer would be maybe a yes and a no, depending on which angle you're looking at it. If the social media, in my case, in terms of the legal perspective, of course, when we look at the legal underpinning under the Employment Act, it doesn't touch on an online kind of child labor. But that is what we are facing in this country, or rather worldwide today. So that we're asking ourselves, the moment you put your child on social media and you force these people to create content, you are always on their case as parents. You must be, because you know when they have numbers, when the numbers are multiplying, then you are going to get finances from that particular page, maybe to help you pay school fees. We're saying that is not bad. Actually, that is the way to go in terms of this digital world. But also, when it becomes a point of where the child is actually being forced to do what maybe he doesn't like or she doesn't like, then that becomes a form of child labor that is actually developing. But if in an instance where the parents are the ones who are managing these accounts on behalf of their children, so that a mother is the one who posts, a mother is the one. Basically, for those who are below 2 years, I will say no. But for teenagers who are being forced to do what they're being forced to do on social media for the purposes of their parents making a living from their children. I remember an instance where personally I took my own child for an advertisement and we had to wake up at 3 a.m. If you look at it, when I look back, I'm like, maybe that was child labor. Because how do you wake up a 6-month-old to go and do a shoot at 3 a.m.? It's not fair. So yeah, let's diversify the way we look at child labor and just make sure that we are not perpetrators, enablers of this kind of offense. Thank you.
Okay, we are winding up.
Sorry, Mogore, can I add?
If you had something to say about gaming?
I just want. Oh, okay. No, I just wanted to add on what Baraka has said. So one thing that the digital environment has created is an interesting way of child exploitation. And I had said also it's beyond sexual exploitation. What is we speak a lot is sexual exploitation. We don't talk other forms of exploitation. And what she has just described is exploitation, where beyond parents, it's not only parents who exploit children, beyond parents, even media houses, they over-commercialize our children so that they can be able to sell. Okay, but the number one, and I think there's a paper that has been done on just give me a second, there's noise in my house.
Okay, Eve, just give us your point on gaming so that we can try and close up.
I'm back. So exploitation, especially parents of children of celebrities, okay, where there's a paper that has been done. I can't remember who's done it, and they were checking on how children of celebrities are being exploited by not only their parents but also commercial or brands that they are forcing the children to do things that are beyond their age, okay? And it is interfering with them, one, physical health, mental health, and their social life, okay? Because if you have been exposed to the cyber world and people kind of know you as an influencer or as a celebrity, it's very hard for you to be able to interact with other children. You'll be labeled in a certain way by your colleagues or your friends, and that way it will have an impact to your mental health and your social life, okay, and your social development. So it is very important for us to look at exploitation beyond sexual, when coming to the cyber world, beyond sexual exploitation. And what she said about child labor, okay, where children are being forced to work beyond and they don't want to work, it's called parent sharing, because share parenting, I've forgotten the word, where parents just share at the detrimental of their children. Actually, a paper was done for the alpha generation, where they are saying they do not want their parents to share their photos at all. I am done now. Yeah, Sharon,
yes,
thank you, Ines. Sharon, yes,
we're out of time, please.
So please don't overshare your parents, your children photos. Don't overshare your children's videos because you'll be putting them in danger. Thank you so much, Mogore, for the extra time.
Yeah, it's that the extra was meant. If you have something to share, or we would like to really close, we've kept our audience really.
Yes, just 2 seconds. I think mine will be easy because I just want to direct you somewhere so that you can do this maybe after this. So as I was talking about gaming, I remembered I'd forgotten to share something that is even happening right now on Facebook. So I think you can see my screen. This is Facebook. These are third-party apps. So let me just go up here. There is home, pages, whatever, marketplace, groups, and there's an icon here about gaming. So I have realized children are coming to these spaces a lot, and actually not on their own accounts, our accounts, because children don't really think Facebook is their thing. So when they're on Facebook, this is the only place they're coming. And so here they can get the games that are playing live. There are very many, and you can see the number of people who are playing. But just look at this particular game here. And when you find your child playing it, this girl is almost naked. It's called Resident Evil. So as I was saying before when I was talking about the games, there's some games that you will hear your children mention. It is important for you to know where, because if you just look at this is explicit, yeah? And they will not create their own accounts per se. They will use your account. So I just want to direct you, because I know you guys are on Facebook. These are third-party apps that are being hosted. So just go to the gaming platform so that you can see what your children have access to. It is mind-blowing, but at least it gives you an insight on what kind of games your people in your house are playing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Eve, for sharing that. That's some real good insight, because we overlook the gaming aspect. So I'll directly hand over to Deborah. Deborah, take us from here.
Thank you very much. It's been a very good session. We've really learned a lot. I just want to give a vote of thanks, first of all, to all the participants who joined in. Asanteni sana for that. Next, I'd like to just thank all the panelists for taking your time to come and have a chat with us. We don't take it for granted, seeing that we've taken quite some time. First, I'd like to thank Jennifer Kaberi of Total News, Isabel Magaya for Center of Child Law, Eunice Maingi of iLab, Evelyn Casina of Eve Minet, Sheila Magomere, thank you so much, legal sister, for organizing this, and for the Board of Positive Circles, Asante Sana. Next weekend on Saturday, we're going to be hosting a live event. Details will be on our social platforms. Kindly follow Legal Sister on Twitter or on Instagram. Kindly follow Positive Circles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more information on this. We're going to have a very good session where now we'll tie in all the ends so that we can see how we can mitigate these risks. We'll talk about reporting, and we'll have key people from different institutions telling us what the law provides in terms of child online protection. It's been quite a wonderful session. Thank you so much. I have learned a lot. I know everyone has learned a lot. Kindly follow Eve Minet on social platforms. iLab. Kindly follow Center for Child Law, and Total News. They have a wealth of information when it comes to child online protection. I would also like to thank, last but not least, Martha Sunda of Childline. Kindly follow her as well for information on the protection of children. They have quite a lot of information. Also, not to forget, Childline has a special toll-free line, 116, which you can utilize. They also have a WhatsApp line, which Sheila had shared earlier. So in case any child is at risk, or you suspect there's a case of abuse, kindly use those lines. They are toll-free. So for me, I'd like to say good night, and thank you for tuning in. It's been a wonderful session, and see you at the live event. Asante sana.
Thank you and good night.